Good morning, my name is William Sutton. I'm a modeler and animator. I use Hash Animation Master. This morning I'm going to show you some modeling using hash patches, and as my subject I'm going to model King Kong here. I did this Sunday as practice right before this show. So hash patches are really great. You can make about any kind of geometry, any kind of shape with them. Hopefully by the time I get done with this thing, I'll have another model of King Kong here, and I'll do a little quick render. You can see, get a nice smooth surface, a low patch count geometry. This model is defined with, let's see, info, 1,648 patches. That's not bad at all. Hash patches, you only have to keep up with the position of these control points and their magnitude, gamma and alpha, and pretty much the software will interpret where the patches are valid. So I'm going to create some patches here and extrude this. Alright, let me go to shaded mode and turn this. You can see, turn on my handles. These control points stay where they are, where the patch kind of goes, wherever the spline goes through the patches. One thing I was noticing when I was talking about getting ready to do this was to show, actually, delete that, go to my top view. That's where I want to work on this thing. Now besides splines and control points, there's what you call a hook, and I'm going to show you some of those. You can have 3 hooks between a patch, and what's neat about a hook over a control point is that they ride with the spline, and this is something that can come in handy when you start getting into cutting down your amount of smart skin and fan bones you need at a joint, because you can use a hook like that in some places to kind of have a can use a hook like that to kind of cut down your need for fan bones. Alright, let me select this. Alright, another kind of patch I'm going to do is a 5-point patch. Now here you see where I've got 5 points that does not form a valid patch unless I tell the software, hey, I want that to be a patch. So I'm going to select those points, hit this 5-point patch tool, and oops, hit the wrong button. This, no, this, yeah, there we go. So if I don't have a 3-point or a 4-point patch and I have a 5-point patch, I have to tell it specifically, hey, this is going to be a patch. And there we go. Now some people would say don't do something like that I've done here in the nose, but this is a kind of a patch. Any kind of patch that you can make is a valid patch to me. So you can use something like this. If I peak these points, I can go in here and use something like this to and do stuff to change the geometry. I'm not having to increase my number of patches, but I can get away with a lot of stuff by changing the bias and the alpha and all that kind of stuff on my patches. I'm going to show you some hotkeys. If you want to keep your points as you move them in the XY plane, if you hold down the 1, I can drag this thing around. I can only move X in the X direction. The 2 is the Y direction. And 1 and 2 together, left and right and up and down, but I'm staying then where I'm staying in the up and down, left and right, not moving forward. Z, front and back. So those keystrokes will help you out. You can hold down the 4 key, and you're going to move a point along the spline. And then you can hold down the 5 key, and you're going to move sideways to the spline. 6 key, you're going to move whatever you're doing along the surface normal. You see these little points, that's the surface direction of the patch. Okay. Now I'm going to start, I just wanted to show that first. I'm going to start here my model of King Kong. And if you notice here, I've got a sketch that I've done that I'm putting as a rotoscope in my viewport. And I've got it, one drawing that I've done ahead of time. Before I start modeling something, I like to do some studies first. You really need to know what you're going to model before you get into it and kind of save yourself some work afterwards. So when I decided to do King Kong, I got out the search engine, got on Google, and got me a bunch of reference pictures of gorillas, and got out my sketchbook. Once I was pretty comfortable with my geometry, I drew a rotoscope here that I'm going to use in my modeling here to give me an indication of my proportions and placement. And I just went in Photoshop and used some guides to be able to line up a front and side view from my sketches. And now I'm going to create a new model, and I'm going to put that in. I'm going to close this. I'll close that. I'm going to create a new model. I want this rotoscope in here. I'll just drag it in. It's going to ask me what I want. Now, I need to take and put this to the size that I want it to be. I want King Kong to be kind of tall. I think before I made him about 20 feet tall. I'm not sure how tall King Kong is supposed to be, but we'll go with 20 feet tall because that's what I did this weekend. That's what, 240 inches? So I need a guide to tell me, hey, this is where his head's going to be. I'm going to put one there at the top. Then I'll scale this picture up. And then I'll move it. Yeah, let's line up my guides. I want to take and have a rotoscope in the front view and the side view. That's why I drew it this way, and I'm just putting it in place and making myself a reference for that. Okay, that's my front view. I'll go on the side view. I'm going to drag the same thing in there. Now I'm scaling down. Let's get this guy in place. Alright, that kind of looks right. I need to lock these things so I don't accidentally... Properties. Where's my properties? There we go. So this thing, I'm going to turn the transparency down. And I'm going to check this little hand thing so I don't select it later, because I don't want to move it once I start modeling. go back to my front view. I want this to be the same way. All right. I like to start modeling. I'll just pick a feature and I'll just kind of go. I think when I did this before, I started with the eye. So I'm going to go in here where I need an eye socket, and I'm just going to start laying out a outline that's going to be my eyelid. Okay. And then turn that into some patches. So I'm going to select it, and right before I extrude that, options, global, modeling, there we go. I don't want to, here we go. I don't want it to move the extrude anywhere. I want it to just be where it's at. So I extrude it, then I'm going to scale those. Now I've made some patches here. I'm kind of going to shape my eyelid first. Now I'm holding down the shift key, or the to turn. I kind of just get in here and start modeling and figure out where I want to go with it. I need a little bit of stuff here on my eyelid to work with. I'm going to break this because I don't want to extrude, just continue on in that ring. So I kind of use this extrude key to give myself some geometry to work with, and then I'll pull it around and kind of shape it. What I want to do is, I better go here in a side view, but if you see where I started, that's totally in the wrong spot. I'm going to select that. I need that up here where the eye is. Okay. I maybe should have used a higher resolution for my rotoscope, but you can see I kind of have an indication where that eye needs to be. Oops. Shift C. This one I'm going to move back. I need to take these patches and go up and make my forehead, and then you see that's where I'm going with my. Let's go sideways. I didn't want to do that. I accidentally changed my alpha and gamma there, which I will do later, but I don't want to at this point. That little widget is a handy way to see what you're doing. All right. Alright. Seems like let's get down there and do that nose. I'm going to lay down some splines here and figure out where I want to attach that nose to what I got going. You see there, I really want this spline, so let me kill that. Now I wish that I had taken and used this spline up the nose down the middle, so what I'm going to do is just go ahead and attach that there. I'm going to hold down shift to keep it from joining, and then I'm going to go right back up there with it. So I've got that same spline. I don't need that guy. Alright, that's kind of the direction I wanted to go. Let's just stick that over here. Often I'll take and model by just making little sections, stitching them together, and pushing and pulling on those points till I get what I want. Alright. Now this is a good point that I think, I need an eyeball there, because I need that eyeball, those eyelids to be based on it. So I'm going to make one real quick. I'll show you one that I made earlier. It's pretty simple, low patch kind of eye. It's got a little transparent cornea on there. It is only 36 patches. So I'm going to I'll make that over again, show you. Alright, I want to start out with a circle, so I'm going to lathe this. I want that set to 4. I'll lathe it around. Delete that. I'll look at my properties. I'm going to rotate that. Okay. Okay.
Again, 100% model, textured, animated, and rendered in Animation Master. That means no plugins, no add-ons, nothing extra.
I'm going to need to start my cornea, so I'm going to start a line here. I'm going to hold down shift so I don't change anything. I'm going to drop that down here and here. What I'm doing is creating a profile that I can lay that around. I want to add one more control point here. I'm going to move that up. I want to revolve that. Alright, this is going to be a crooked damn eyeball, but we'll go ahead, select everything, nudge it over, lathe that. I'm going to lathe that. What I like to do here, if I zoom in here on those patches, I'll see I've got a little tiny circle. I don't want a little hole in the middle of my cornea. So I'm going to select that little circle, delete it, join this back up. There. So I do that so I get a nice closed patch. Some people don't like to do a 3-point patch like that, but it works fine. I'm going to do that in my pupil also. I'll go in shaded mode. You can see I can't see my eyeball. What did I do down here? For some reason I got that all crooked. Alright, I need this to be, I'm going to select everything but that, hide that. I want this to be my cornea. So name that cornea. And its surface needs to be transparent. Index of refraction, need that. And that'll be fine. I'll go back to shaded mode. Now I can see through that thing. Now I can see my little pupil in there. And this I'm going to take, I want this to be black because I'm going to make that a group. I'll call this the pupil. The surface properties, let's set that to black. And I want to make sure I don't have any specularity because I just want the light to disappear in that little hole. Okay, so once I put a decal on here for my iris, then that's going to be my pupil. Alright. Let's see. This thing is, let's rotate that. It's way too big. Scale that down. I'll move this eyeball up here.
Now, folks, please do not tell Nickelodeon after they paid me $65,000 for commercial. I'm using the $199. I told them millions of dollars of hardware and software. So let's keep our story straight, right? So, as you can stand in here for the last
Select these control points. I'm going to turn their bias, their magnitude up. So that's where my eyeball needs to go. It's still a little too big. Alright, so you see where I started out with my eye socket, I'm totally not in the right shape. That's where I'm going to select everything else, lock it. Now I can't accidentally hide everything else. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I'll just take and do it by hand. I'll get in there and move my points. I can move that right up there on the eyeball. I need some more geometry there. Extrude that. Scale it in. It's going to be my inner eyelid. I'll move that back. Scale it up. That's giving me the inside of that eyelid. Now I can go in here.
This is what I came up with. The phonetic dictionary that's built into Animation Master breaks down a word into its phonetic equivalent. So I'm going to close down each one of these words. So I don't have to worry about its phonetic breakdown. There we go. Let's go back up to the top. When I click on I, see if I've got it. It's a little too long, so I'm going to squeeze that in. Got it. It's too long. Squeeze that in. Pretty good. Now when I click on can, I don't hear anything. And it's silent. There's a pause. I move that over. The U is too long. U is too long. Keep up. Hold on. What's the last one? Oops. Secret? What's the secret? Okay. What was that? About 20 seconds or what? Let's see what happens with the lip sync. Check this out. I was going to show you that. That's about 20 seconds to work. You know, so if I go back to where the face is, and we go down to where the lip sync area is, here are the custom gray extremes. So that will
I think I'm kind of happy with the direction I'm going in, but I left out a little tear duct thing, so I'm going to go in and stitch that back in. So if you decide that you do something, you want to add a little more in there, we'll create that. I don't want to end up going all the way around, so I'm just going to take that, hook that in. What's nice about a hook, it picks up its curvature from the curvature of the patches that you're clicking into. Let's give me move this around. Let's see. What have I got here? Well, I still don't like that. Let's take that forward. I think this will do. Any variable animation master can be driven by your own code. Also, any variable animation master can be driven by expressions. You can have a function rather than any other variable. Alright, I'm going to now, I've got the eye kind of how I want it. If I look at over here on the side, I need to get in here and attach to that face where I want that muzzle to be. So here is where I usually get into just trying to pick how do I want to get around there. The easiest thing for me is to just attach all the way across and then stitch down. So I need to come out here with this muzzle. I'm going to go ahead and give myself this spline. Notice as I click in the middle of one, I attach. I'm going to go on down here where I'm going to end up with the nose after a while. I need those to line up. So I like to work from a front and a side rotoscope so I can kind of get a picture of which way I want to go. And do we want to do that? Yeah, that'll be good. I'm going to go ahead and attach into that. Go this way. I'm going to terminate that spline with a hook up here on the forehead out of the way. Now you see I've got some 5-point patches here. I think I'm going to do that one more time. We'll take this patch and alright, so I'm kind of happy with where that went. Sometimes I'll go along, get where I don't like it, delete, back up, do it again. I kind of just putter around, so I can't say there's one best way to get what you want to get. Whatever way you get to at the end. Okay. So I need to make this nose, then I'm going to attach that into the rest of it. I'm going to go down here, create a spline. Oops, sorry.
In this case, we're using the hair. Actually, using William Sutton's work. Here's what the character looks like without any hair on it. And with the hair, in this case, we have all the angles pointing down. So it gives you a feather-like effect that's really beautiful on his Yo-Yo character. And if I want to replace that image, instead of just being blue, I want to replace it with an image. So we go up to the top, take my feather swoop, and I'll open that up here for you.
Let's see, I want to get this up here. Extrude that again. What I'm doing there, I want this to come over here. I'm going to detach that. It's going to give me my nose.
One of the things that we're very proud of on Animation Master is what we call true resolution independence. Let me go back and find a nice model for you. In this case, this is William Sutton's Balrog. You've probably seen it from Lord of the Rings. First of all, anybody here use Maya? Maya uses Maya. Oh, here's one over. Okay, you know this is better, don't you? You know? Okay, that's why I'm here. Why would I be here if I didn't know this was better? Okay, now hold on. Now, since we use Maya, I'm going to get closer over here. I'll show you a couple of these things. Okay. If I get really close, I'm going to actually show you the spline. Now, I'm going to get so close, let's get really close to the teeth. So you can see I got 1, 2, 3, 4 patches that connect up to one. Wow.
That's going to be my bottom.
Something else you notice here on the soft mods, needs to be a match that way, nothing. You know why we invented it? Because in the last 18 years, we realized you need to have 5-pointed matches. The artists need to be choreographed 5-pointed areas. That's why we invented it. And again, it gives you these gorgeous, gorgeous organic models that will never have any polygon artifacts because you don't use any polygons. What that means is, every time you render an artifact, it can be a 1K render. Let's say you're doing film resolution, it can be 2K render. Again, absolutely gorgeous. If you're doing IMAX resolutions or print resolutions, you're going to be 6K of resolution. Please notice, infinitely smooth, no polygon artifacts.
Alright.
No pixelization, no blurriness.
I'm going to go ahead and figure out where I need to go to attach this and get all my work lined up in the side. You see, I get this stuff kind of laid out and attached, then I worry about shaping it into where I want it to be. Let's stay constrained to the Z and X.
There's one right there. That's my mascot there. Yeah. That's what she looks like.
You can see from my sketch that I've got my nose way too small, so let's scale that guy up. Move him kind of in place to go along with my rotoscope. I just kind of get into a rhythm as I go along, so I apologize if I'm not talking. Can't walk and chew gum at the same time, so I don't guess I can model it. Alright. I kind of like where that's going, but let's go to the top view. Gonna need, let's take this nose right here, go up this, hook, and
Now, here, what better character could you use? Animation, as far as characters, should always be common sense. Common sense is telling you you're going to walk, your legs have got to move. Common sense would tell you you pull on a hand, the rest of the arm comes along. Throughout my demos, I never use technical jargon. There's no need for it. Use your common sense.
I want to line all that stuff up on the x-axis. I'm going to select that entire spline, look at my properties, set the pivot, set it to 0, and then I'm going to just scale everything to 0 in the x-axis. And kind of, every once in a while, kind of neaten up what I'm doing. Because later I'm going to model just one half of this, then I'm going to flip it around the x-axis and join it up. And
more than 64 megabytes of RAM. You used to be on the Amiga. The Amiga was 7 megahertz, you know, so we always assume our computer is 7 megahertz. Now, in this case, it's not fair because I'm doing only a 30-second walk cycle like this.
okay, select that spline.
Actually, this is the work of Joe Williamson, the walk cycle that you just saw before, but this time I turned on the physics of Animation Master. That's why the way that everything swings, the way everything bounces, is being handled by the dynamics engine of our program. And as you saw earlier, when we render that out, we get these wonderful results. 100% modeled, textured, animated, and rendered in Animation Master for $199. So if you want to do it right, okay? Let's also that to do a couple other things. Let's see. We show you some animations of character animation.
Let's
Sometimes people come to Siggraph looking for non-photorealistic results. Here's what I mean. Let's say you got Bugs Bunny. I was looking for that authentic Bugs Bunny feel. So what I did was I turned on the cartoon look. Cartoon look automatically puts lines around the edges. That simplifies the inside. So what does it look like I can draw?
Alright.
If I do a normal render, it gives me this. What we're trying to communicate to you is every artistic style that's out there.
So I kind of just go along like this. Like I say, I'm just get one thing patched together, attach it, and just kind of work out. And I think I'll attach right here across there, so I'll start another spline. Hold down shift so I don't join that. Now I need a 5-point patch tool to close these up. Yeah, let's go that way. Well, kind of got myself in a corner there. Where did I go with the? So I don't want to either go. I can go back up the eyelid or out over here. I want to end up with 5. 1, 2, 3. That'll work. So we'll go up the. Did that because I want kind of a little bit more sharp corner there.
And you probably have noticed it right off the bat, their lips have got to move, right? In the last 17 years, we realized that, yeah, your lips have to line up to what you're saying. So we designed a lip syncing technology. So you don't have to worry about those details. Let the computer help you. I can help you too. See, when you got a program that does everything, it's really easy to say it does everything. Then you got to spend a lifetime proving it does everything. That's my job. I prove it does everything. Yeah.
All right. I'm kind of happy with how that part of the cheek went. I'm going to go ahead and take this mouth.
There we go. It starts out with only, believe it or not, one line. And a line looks like the contour of the head and the torso. I click on a line, I go over to the side. I see this button over here, I put my cursor on it. It's called a lathe button. It says L is the keyboard shortcut. I hit it, spin it around. This is my first shape. Now, at this point, open up a hole for the eye, the mouth, the you even see some more work that happens on the body as well. Then you bring in more shapes. The shoulder actually was a donut, but when I squeeze the bottom of the donut, it gives me a better shoulder. The arm is a cylinder, but when I got close, I had to kind of pinch the back of it so I could get a better looking elbow. Now you probably noticed that I only build one side of a character. Well, of course you only build one side because the other side's easy. Just a mirror copy got me both sides. Bring all the pieces together, you got your final shape. Now at this point, I started thinking about the lips. Take a look. So you know something? I want to make sure the volume is up louder on this one because I really want you to be able to hear it. Take that volume, and turn that all the way. Go back to the first frame, hit play. Is that volume louder? There we go.
Alright, so I'm just nudging around here, shaping this mouth, then I'm going to stitch into the rest of it. I think I'll go ahead right here.
After the lips were done, I started thinking about how she should walk. So in this case, I actually cheated. I took a standard walk that we give you on the CD-ROM, but I gave this one a little bit of attitude. I really didn't do anything for the hands because I can do the hands later. Right now, I just want to make her walk. By the way, this is a great example of reusable motion, of taking something that was done before that was not even related to this character and reusing it for the character you want now. At the end, when you bring the pieces together, you get your final movie. But this time, we'll change it instead of just playing it. First, it's shaded. It can be wireframe. Or stand in the front like a director and see how she's acting as the camera comes along the path in all three dimensions. Sometimes I will use two windows. Window down at the bottom. If you start to walk, I move my camera backwards. Otherwise, you're going to bump into the cameraman. That would not be good. Oh, wait, I see a mistake. Hold on a second. See that head should have been a little bit higher. Yeah, I'm going to see back here on the signature right there. There you go. Okay. By the way, did you notice how the renderer is always with me? So what that means is no matter where I am in the interface, you can see, like in this case, the head is casting shadow on the ground. Oh, looks weird. Well, of course the head casts shadow on the ground. The entire body casts shadow too. I love it. It's been 18 years of work. It better look like that after 18 years. Well, in these last 18 minutes you've been hanging around, you have been watching the 18 years of our lives. What we strive to do is to give you the ultimate visualization technology. Now, we understood that we have to make it easy. That means it's got to work like your operating system. It's got to work like your intuition. First of all, let me show you the manual of that. There it is. Every page filled with color pictures, step-by-step instructions. And then we brought this manual into the 21st century. Unlike our competitors, when you go up to our website, you will find these step-by-step.
Okay, so what I'm doing now is stitching down to that line on my x-axis, and then I'll just kind of go this way. Some people say, hey, you can't do that. Well, you can do that. Any patch that it makes is a valid patch. I don't need that point. I'll just delete it. And I'll just hook that there.
This time we'll do some better stuff for you. Oh, he got to drop a picture, right? No. We sell a lot of things related. So like this, for example, my mouse pad, we sell that. Things like features, nails, everything. He even made an action figure for it at one point. So there's Jeff Blue.
Let's see what I wish I had done here. Let's select this, delete it, join that up, and what do I want to do there? So I've got to attach that. Let's go.
Some of the new things that we've done in the program. I'll show you hair. Hair is fun. Let's see what the hair does. In fact, we had so much fun with the hair, we made our mascot this year, Harry.
Okay. Let's just tighten it up again. I'll select that whole spline. X scale. Okay, I like how that's going. I got to think where I want to come with this cheek, and let's go back to my rotoscope. I'm going to take this, I'm going to go down to the chin. Then let's take that. So I just kind of look here and see where I need to go. I think I need this cheek. I've got a lot going on there, so I'll have to model that down. I can do those three as hooks. So you can put up to 3 hooks, but on any side of a patch, in the middle, and these 2 quadrants. So I'll do that to kind of cut that geometry as I go down the side, and they will ride along that spline and just blend in. And I'll do the same thing here. Alright, I need one more line here for that cheek. I'll just take it out of this nose. Okay. I think, where do I want to go here? Let's do this. I like that. I got something going on crazy here. Let's change my shape a little bit. See how I want to join up. I think I can make a 5-pointer there.
So here he is with those flight particles being used with fire and the smoke that you see out of Florida rings. So let's go back and do what I promised you, which is start from zero and build something. Start out usually with just a line.
Okay, I like how that looks. I don't need that guy. Now let's take and go back around with this mouth with these spline rings. I'm going to need that. And I'm going to do... I'm going to need this geometry later when I animate. Yeah. But we're going to give you a time machine called Unlimited Undo. Take you all the way back in time until you're not going to have any mistakes. Well, I'm going to do a little bit of texture. But before I do that, let me make the model better. Straight down slightly. Actually, at the top, not only make that smaller, but I can also give it up and kind of tilt it. No. Hold on. You can select it and then hide everything else. Hide is just a nice way to concentrate in one area. So now if I pull that down, it'll give me more of a flowery kind of base. Now let's talk about texture. Everybody knows how to drag and drop. I'll do it again. Okay, I'll just hook here.
So let's say you want to be more specific. So I found this picture on the internet. It could be either a picture or
Let's do the same thing here.
you move it over here, you double click. If it works like reality, you'll be stuck where you left it. Double clicking makes sense. Now let's say you didn't know about double clicking. Now let's say you did not know about double clicking. Here's what happens. You see over here the word apply. It's in English. So when I hit it, it's self-evident that one is going to apply on top of the other. Even if I was to pick this up and change it, of course, correct. Now so far, all I've done is build a shape. So what I really want to show you though is how I animate. And I do that by putting in these little bones. Bones are very similar to the bones you got in your body. You draw a few of them, and when you say all of a sudden, I'm ready to animate. Here's my shape. Here we go. This is frame 1. You go to frame 15, I'm going to put it over here. Finally on frame 30, I'll do a paste. I'm done. Now folks, I really challenge you to find anything else that's here on the show floor that even comes close to what you're seeing right now out of Animation Master. Now I know this is simple because you only gave me 1 minute to start from zero, and I have to build it, bone it, texture it, animate it, and it's got to render right on the fly. Well, if I spend more time building, I will get better results. So I'll show you what happens when I go for about 3 hours. You don't have to sit here for 3 hours. I've already done this before. So I'll show you what I really look like.
Okay, well, so there's my basic half of the face.
Whenever I build, I like doing the cold because to make everything white. You guys call it global illumination. I call it nice render. Another 15 minutes, I got my texture, so I can have a beautiful wood texture or the metal you see on the body. And well, exquisite stills. Well, stills are nice, but you know why we're all here at Siggraph? We're here because we want to make movies. I don't care about the stills. We want to bring you beautiful characters to life. Animation. It should be common sense. The common sense is telling you that if you're going to walk, your legs got to move. So I do that first. Common sense would tell you if you were to pull on a hand, the rest of the arm would come along. Okay, of course. I don't use any technical jargon. You don't need it. Now, you can click on copy, go to another frame. Use paste mirror. Paste mirror just means whatever's on the left goes right, and vice versa. So whenever you walk, you bring 1 foot higher, the other leg straightens out, and then the body moves up and down. So copy, paste, I'm done. I call my 30-second walk cycle. And nobody's ever paid me to work for 30 seconds, so you can probably see why. It's a very simple walk cycle. Now, of course, if you spend more time, you're going to get better results. So I'll show you the work of Joe Williamson. Now, Joe did not give me the entire model, but it's okay. It's absolutely brilliant. It's exquisite model. In this case, he only animated the walk, and he's using the dynamics of the physics of our program to use all the other details, like how the picking, swing, or bounce, or how the shaking happens. It's all being handled by the physics of Animation Master. And of course, when it gets rendered out, it looks like...
All I'm doing here is kind of the same as I was doing before, just stitching along.
So what I did was I turned on the cartoon shader. Cartoon shader automatically puts lines around the edges and simplifies the inside.
Let's go to the top view.
I can. I do a normal render, gives me this.
That's not bad. I got to do something with all this geometry coming off the brow, but you can see from the shape of that gorilla's head, I really don't need it. I maybe need just one more line coming down through here, so I'm going to pick this one, stitch out, oops, missed it. There we go. Alright.
100% 3D, 100% created Animation Master. Sometimes I see you guys get into photorealism. These are the people that want to fool you into thinking it's a picture. In reality, it's still computer generated. Like, let's see, in this case, I turn on the smoke, right came into the window, our software left beautiful shots and right behind.
So
it's that time of the demo where I'm going to finish it up.
I'm going to use a hook here to get rid of some of this geometry coming up. Middle. I kind of want my crease to be there. I'm going to have to put one in by selecting this thing, holding down control to lock out the gamma and alpha, and I'll just drag my magnitude down.
Was done in Animation Master. Wow. Please don't tell Nickelodeon after they pay me $65,000 for commercial and I'm using the $199. I told them millions of dollars of hardware and software. You know, so we gotta keep our stories straight. Alright, so please, stop. Let's go see how the commercial was done, because that's why we're here at Siggraph. We don't care about the what. We care about the how. The how is what makes the world go around. Let's see how the commercial got together. Smart drive. There's so much stuff in the project. There we go.
You know, I don't need that right now. Later when I do the ear, I'm going to need a little bit more geometry, so go ahead and do that.
Let's talk about how to animate the little boy. So if you ever worked for Pixar or Island or any of the other fine animation companies, you know that you always want to animate the body separate from the face. This is very, very important. The animator can concentrate on the body action without having to use the facial expressions. So once I'm satisfied with...
What do I want to do next? I kind of need to start planning where my shoulder's going to come in, so I think I'm going to take a break from the head and come back to it. I think I'm going to go on down and get the main part of the body done and then come back to the arms and legs. Alright, so I'm going to go here with the add some control points. I've got a rotoscope placed in my modeling window, and that helps me to line up my size and my proportions. I've got it here in the side view, and I've got one in the front view lined up, and I'm going to use that as a guide. I did that sketch after doing some studies of a gorilla, and that's going to help me to model it and keep everything lined up nice and neat. Alright, so I'm going to take and lasso these points right here and extrude them. Somebody's changed my options here. I don't like for the extrude to go any distance, so right here the default's got it going in direction. I'm going to set all that to 0 so I can kind of control where I want to do. I'm going to rotate that, extrude it again. I just kind of go along, line up these points where I want to go, select this whole thing, and I'll extrude it one more time. I think, alright. Now I've lined that up in the front view. As you can imagine from the side, all that stuff's still going to be out there on the front edge, which is not what I want it to be. That's why I've got a side view in my drawing. I'll just pull these points back. I'll get lost here and see where I'm at. Move these things along the spline. So I'm kind of shaping the chest here, and I'll just kind of switch back and forth in my views, rotate around, push and pull on things till I kind of like what I see. Later I'll take and stitch these things, these parts of the body together, and that's how I'll make the body. Go back to the front view here. Well, I guess alright. What I'm going to do, I went a little too close together. Now I'm going on down the torso, add some more points, and I'm not sure that I want the same amount of points on the front as I've got on the chest, because, well, what have I done here? Sometimes I do this when I'm going back and forth. What I can do, if you want everything lined up on one axis, is set your pivot on 0 and then just scale everything to 0 in the x-axis. Tightens everything back up. That's important later, because I'm going to make one half of the gorilla, then I'm going to copy, flip, and attach, and I'll have the other half. So I only got to do one side of everything. I've got those points selected there. I think I'll just go ahead and extrude them. And I don't think I need as many points to get this belly as I've got on the chest. Well, it looks like maybe I do. I guess I could have just done that there, but let's extrude it one more time. I want to go with a light patch layout because I'm going to have to animate this thing, and I don't want to have to deal with a lot of control points and rigging and waiting to get that nice smooth belly. And I just kind of push and pull. Where I've got here, I just hit an A. I'll stitch that together. And I think I want to go in here where this chest, where the pec comes into the belly. I want to tighten that up, so I don't really want it to have the same magnitude as the rest of this stuff. I'm doing here. Sometimes when you've got a corner like that, it's hard for the software to know which direction you want it to connect that spline. So I will make a little extra point there, and that will keep me going the right direction. All right. What I was saying here about this bias, if I turn on this point here, I would like to work with these points. You see I've got these handles that controls how that spline passes through that. I'm going to turn my magnitude down to 50%. I want to get a little bit of a crease there, and I'm going to have to put it in by making that a little sharper. I think I'll take this down to about 25. All right, turn that off. That's going to let me get a little bit sharper definition there. Yeah, page up for that chest as it runs into the rest of the body. All right. All right. Now this, I definitely need the shape. Later I'll stitch in here, I'll put this leg in and control that joint. Alright. Now, I think I will leave the chest alone and go ahead and go around to the back. So, because I'm going to leave this chest, I've got to come in here and build an arm and shoulder. I don't really want to fool with it right now, so I'll just come along this line. I'm going to start the edge of that trapezius as it goes around the back. So, I want to look at my shape. Actually, I'm going to go back to the front view and hide the other so I can see that shape, because I want to line up this with this line and make sure that's nice and tight. So I extrude one more time, look in the front view. I want this to go out here. You see my rotoscope. Now I'm kind of working my way around that lat, those muscles there. And I'm going to select that again, extrude it one more time, and then I'll shape that into where my back is. Okay. Well, I don't have a rotoscope on the back, so that's not going to help me to look at that and unhide everything. All right. So come around the back. It's going to be the edge of this back muscle. I'll go ahead and extrude that one more time. And then, just like I was saying earlier about scaling it to the X, this is going to be the back center line. So I'll turn my pivot to 0 and my X scale to 0. Tighten that up. And then, where that needs to be in this back view is that this spline. That needs to be lined up with my back rotoscope because it's going to be the center of my spline. I'm going to line this up. Alright, so there's the wings of his back muscles. And I'll tighten that up. They don't need to come out quite that far. Alright, that's good enough. This chest, I'm going to go ahead and come up to his neck. I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-point patch there. That's going to work out nice for me. I'll do the same thing up here. I also want to tighten up my bias there because I want that lower part of his chin to not be quite so snug. Let's turn that down. So I'm adjusting the magnitude down. That's bringing in those bias handles in. And I think I'll leave the others okay. I'll select these 5 points. I have to tell the software that I want that to be a patch. Ordinarily, 3 or 4 point patches, it's going to automatically know this is valid based on the rules for making a patch. You don't want to turn every 5 point area into a patch, so you have to tell it when you do want to. So it's not that problem. Boy, I really need that neck to be way out there. Yeah. Yeah. So I get out here and start moving stuff around. Sometimes it's easy, you just get the stuff connected and then just push and pull the points. I'm holding down the 1 key, and that's keeping me in the X plane. And these key combos, if I wanted to move straight up in the Y, I hold down the 2. If I want to move back and forth, I'll hold down the 3. I'm in the Z dimension. I don't know if you can see that. This is holding down the Z. I can't move back and forth. And then 6 moves you along the surface normal. 4 and 5 move you either forward or back or sideways off the spline. So once you get the handle of the keystrokes, you just kind of start using them and you don't think much about it. Alright. I'll go ahead and make this leg. So I'm using my rotoscope again to kind of decide where I want to go. And I'll do, again, I'm going to hit with the same number of points. I'm going to make the leg kind of simplified and then come in and stitch in extra detail once I have the shape. I know that this spline is not going to be, probably neither of them, where I want them to be. I'll select that whole thing. If I look in that side view, I'll be able to see where I want it to be is along the front edge. I'm going to go ahead and move it up there. Later I'll take and stitch these together. Same thing with this. I know it's going to be the inside of that leg, so I'm going to go ahead and move those points from this view in there. Alright. Select this whole spline. I'll extrude it. And I'll extrude it again. I'm going to go back to a wireframe view. This back line is going to be the center of the back part of that leg. Alright. I'll go back to this front view. I know that needs to be way out here. And of course I'm going to use my rotoscope again to kind of line up where the outer contour of that leg is. Alright. Select all of that. Hide everything so I can kind of see what I'm doing. And you see here, I've got the same number of points I need to make the other side of that leg. So to keep from accidentally going the wrong direction, I'm going to extend those splines down. Alright, now I know I want to go here, and then I'll work my way up. I'll hold down shift so it doesn't join there. And here's where I want to go. Now I'm just working my way up that profile. Stitching around. See, I'm going then from this front view, I'm just building that leg. I'm going to come back in and add some splines to define these muscles. And then I'll join it all back up when I get up to the top. Just clicking the A key to add something. I don't want to.
Believe me, I will impress the hell out of you. Okay? So, once we got the first position, his feet touch the ground. I click copy. Go to another position.
All right. So I don't need those. Don't need that. Let's put those in there to help me tell the software which way to go with that spline. You see, that is not a very good leg. There's no knee or definition there. So I need to add something to let me do that. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this down. I'm going to go ahead and just stitch in another line. And so if you see you need more detail, it's that easy to add it back in. I want, what do I want to do here? I want to add those quads in, so I want to need to pull this out. So I need to have a little bit more geometry to shape that leg. But I don't want to keep making the leg dense, so I'm going to use hooks to join it in. So I'll just start here. Now I can take this spline, hook it in the middle, and then I'm going to be able to join that in. Now I'll do the same thing here. Now I have something that I can use to pull out that quadriceps. Alright. If I think, well, I need a little bit, I want to tie that off so I can tighten it up at the bottom of that knee. So I'm going to go ahead and make some more geometry right there. And what did I do? I attached it to the back of the leg. That's no good. Let's delete that. Okay. To help me from getting confused again, I'm going to hide that. Shift G is a lasso. I want to just work on that front of that leg. Alright. So we'll stitch in here. I think that is going to work. While I've got that hidden, I'm going to do the same thing for the other side of that knee. I'll hook that. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and go back down through this kneecap. I don't need to keep going with my geometry, so I'll just hook it in right there. The hook allows it to follow the spline rather than controlling where the spline goes. So where these dead end, they follow the curvature of the other patches. That's going to let me take this, move it along the normal, and I'll just shape that knee. Let's move this in, move this out and down. Like I did before where I wanted to add some crease, I want to change the magnitude of this spline so it's not such a smooth curve going through that. I want it to kind of tighten up and make a crease. So that here I'm going to turn down to about 25. Do the same thing here and here. That's going to let me force it to make a little bit of a crease. And I'll pull that out. I think I'll broaden out this kneecap. Alright. So where I've got these extra points, that one that I did by accident, I'll get rid of. And this, I will hook around into the back because I don't need extra detail over there. So I'll leave that dangling. Then reach over here and hook it in. Alright, so I like that. I think that's going to work good. I need to come up here and figure out how I'm going to tie this in to the body. You see where the rump's coming around there. So I'm definitely going to need to extrude up and get me some more geometry. And let's pull that down. How to do that? I think what I need to do is to tell myself where the center line is. So I'm going to go ahead, select all of that, and hide it. And I'm just going to kind of figure out where this underside is. So I meant to connect that. I want to join that in, and the reason I made those points again was just because when you're hitting a hard corner like that, there's no way for the software to know which way you want it to go. So I can hold down shift and make it not join up, but I do want it to join here, so that's why I made that little extra point, and I'll delete it. That's going to give me something to go by for where I want to attach that one half of the leg, and this is on the 0 on the x-axis, so when I flip it, I'll have the other leg and hopefully a nice joint. If you just walked up, in the end, this is what we're going to have. Well, we may not get it today, but in theory. I'm going to save this. I've been working a while and I haven't saved, which is okay. I'm going to unhide what I did and see where I'm at. I think we'll just go ahead and just stitch in and then shape that. So I see I can join that. As we see, I can add extra detail in later if I don't like what my shape is. And I'm going to need more geometry coming down there to define that hip, but right now I think I'll just join everything together and then stitch it in. And all right. So these joints I have to decide where I want to go. I've got this spline coming down. I'll stitch probably in there, and that's going to leave me with a 5-point patch, which will be okay if I leave it on the back side. I kind of just putter along and decide what the best way to go is later. And like I say, I think I want to come down here. I need a little bit more definition. Let's go ahead here and just stitch, oops, I missed. Stitch that in. And that's right there. Yeah. That's good. Here, I don't want to keep going all the way underneath the back side because I'm going to have all this control points in this tight joint, so I'm just going to hook that. That should work okay. And then on this, I'll use the 5-point patch tool to tell it to close this off and make a patch. Now I've got it joined up. Of course, I've got this huge weird shape, but now that it's all put where I want, I will sculpt it down. I'm using these keyboard hotkeys to help me control which way I'm going. Now, a lot of modeling in Animation Master is just that. Stitch things together, extrude a shape, push and pull on those points till you get it into the shape you want. You don't need a lot of geometry to define that smooth shape because of the nature of the hash patch. All right. Now let's see how we're going to do this butt. I'll move this. I remember that this spline was the center of that leg, so whoa, Control C. I just moved something on the front side of the leg, which is not what I wanted to do. I could have hid that so I wouldn't see it. I don't need those guys anymore. Let's pull out our bias handles and round that off a little bit. All right. Sometimes when I get to these points where I'm joining things up, I'm just making it up as I go along, and sometimes I'll delete and go back, but I think this is going to be pretty easy. I'm just going to go ahead and connect that, and then I'm going to stitch back into it, and then I'll just pull it back out where I want it. And I'm going to take this and go up to the back. And we'd need something here. Let's go ahead, take this and come down the side of the leg. And here, I think I'll just hook right there. Can I do that? I can. Yeah. Oops. Alright, so that's where I am on the back side. I just need to close this up. I don't want to do it with a 5-point patch. I need a little bit more detail, so I think that's going to work out for me. To keep from accidentally hitting everything I'm not looking at, I'm just going to go ahead and select this and hide everything else. Alright, so I know this is my back side of my ass. Let's just stitch out across here. And I think we're going to end up with a 5-point patch right there. I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just here, here, here. Unhide that and see where do I need to connect that. I think I'll just connect it in the middle with that patch. Did that work? No, I hit the wrong thing. Zoom and see where I hooked that in. That's this. The detach point. There we go. Alright. So we'll select this 5-point, make this 5-point patch. Hold down Shift to let me add to my selection, and I'm using this little lasso tool to help me not select the wrong thing. So I drag a window on it, close that up. Here where I've got this extra geometry, maybe I should have hooked that instead of doing that. If I can get rid of this one piece, I'll have a 4-point patch there. I won't need to keep on around. I'm not sure if that'd be the best thing or not, so I'm going to zoom out here and think about it. I think that would be best. Okay. So let's detach that point, and then let's delete that and go back to a wireframe. I'm going to have to detach this hook also, because I've got it confused as to which way I want to go. Now I'll hook this, hook this. I should have a closed, a closed patch going around the back. Alright. Now I've got this one thing. When I broke that spline a minute ago that I put in by mistake, I ended up undoing here. So I'll need to come around and hook that in right there. You can hook up to 3 other splines between patches. You can hook them at the midpoint, which is I've done here. You can hook another here and another here. That helps you go from an area of high density geometry to low density to kind of keep your patch count down. Okay. I'm going to change my shape here. Doing all that tweaking, I seem to have distorted things a little bit from my drawing, so I'm just going to pull those things in there. I think I need to come there. Let's pull this joint down. Okay. Alright. I think that's good enough there. Let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to make a hand and arm and attach it to this thing. Once I make the hand, luckily, since I've got a gorilla, I have the hand, I'll have my foot too. Okay, I'm going to make a finger, then I'll make copies of it, and then I'll stitch it together to make a hand. So I made one, where's this, before. You don't need a lot of geometry to make one. I've done all this stuff ahead of time. But I'll take a model a finger like that, copy it 5 times to make a hand, and then just paste that in there and stitch it in there. Once you make something you like, it's a good idea to just save it into your library later, paste it in, don't do it over again. So I've got an anatomy folder full of feet and hands and eyeballs and stuff like that I can just stitch it right into the end of the arm. And you would think this finger does not have enough geometry to describe that all range of motion, but it really does, because between the bones I've got CP weighting on this ring of splines to make it average 50% between these 2 joints, and then smart skin on its rotation. So as it bends, AM keeps track of the position, the bias, the alpha, and the magnitude of